to be going over the front-end developer roadmap. I'm going to be using one of the resources for my course. So this is the resource for my course, the complete front-end developer roadmap. I didn't write this, a very competent developer wrote this. So this is the person that wrote this. So this roadmap is essentially giving you a guide to everything you need to know, or the basics you need to know as a front-end developer. So we're just going to go over the contents today. I'm going to try and explain everything. So this is the introduction, right? The guide is designed to help you navigate essential skills needed to become a successful front-end developer, whether you're just starting out or looking to enhance your existing skills. This roadmap will provide a clear and structured path. Targeted audience. This guide is for beginners who want to know what they need to learn to land a front-end developer job, for experienced individuals looking to level up their skills and fill in the gaps in their knowledge. So for detailed tutorials and courses, you can go to his YouTube channel. Now this is the essential skills timeline, right? So I'm not going to go through everything thoroughly, right? I'm just going to glance, and you can see that HTML should take you 2 weeks to learn, CSS 1 month, JavaScript 2 months, Git 2 weeks, TypeScript 3 weeks. So these are the essential tools you need to know as a front-end developer. Although this one is optional, this one is for app development, so it's optional. This one too is optional to some extent, because bear it in mind that you don't have to know from this place, you don't have to know everything. Once you know this and upward, you are good to go to get a job. So these are the tips every beginner should know. Start small and build up. Practice consistently. Work on projects. Ask for help. Join a community. Learn to debug. Debugging, by the way, is fixing errors, and debugging is a very valuable skill as a developer. Try robot doc debugging. You can see the explanation here. I'm not going to read everything. Read documentations and stay updated. Be patient and persistent. Embrace change. Take regular breaks. Don't overwork yourself. So now let's go to HTML. HTML, or hypertext markup language, is the foundation of web development, used for structuring web pages. It defines the structure and content of documents through elements like headings, paragraphs, links, images, and lists. Time required 1 to 2 weeks. This means HTML is very easy, and it's actually very easy. Although there are a bunch of elements in HTML, you don't have to know all. You just have to know the most important, common, and used ones. You understand? So you can see here a basic tag: HTML, head, body, title. So these are the concepts that you need to know. These are the basic tags that you need to know. So this is for structuring. These tags are for structuring. These tags are for text formatting, to make it bold, to make it strong, italics, and stuff like that. These are list elements. These are links elements, and attributes. These are attributes, not elements. This is an image element, and these are attributes, right? These are table elements, and these are attributes. These are form elements, right? These are semantic elements. They are semantic elements, and these are meta tags. Right, these are media elements. So you can see different types of element. At least there are more, right? But these are the basic ones we should know to at least start building web pages in HTML. Then we go to CSS, introduction. Then we see selectors. You need to know selectors. You need to know box model, padding, margin, content, all that. You need to know positioning, display, flexbox, grid. Flexbox and grid is very important to know. These ones are actually very important to know. Do not miss this when learning. Very important to help you in styling, typography, colors. You need to understand colors and know how to manipulate them, units, transitions and animations. These ones are important, but I wouldn't say they are very important, but it's good to know them. Then responsive design, yes, this is very important. I think that's all. So these are project ideas. You could make a home page with welcome message and navigation menu. I might do a tutorial on any of this. You could also make an about page with a brief biography and photo, and then a project page with thumbnails and description of your work, contact page with contact form, social media links, and you could do a lot more. And if you need ideas or inspiration, you could get from dribble.com. So responsive blog layouts, designing a responsive blog layout, this is another idea that you could do. So I'm just going to scroll through it. This is another idea you could do with HTML and CSS. So this is another project. This is another idea that you could work on. Right. Then we move to JavaScript. JavaScript should take you about 6 to 8 weeks. You need to know variables. That's the first thing you need to know. Data types. You need to know typecasting. You need to know operators, assignments, comparison, arithmetic, bitwise, logical, conditionals. You need to know that. You need to know equality comparison, control flows, loops, functions, arrays. So these are topics that you should know to be able to beat your chest and say that I can code in JavaScript. These are topics that you should know. You understand? So you should know all these topics and understand them. And then there are YouTube tutorials about these topics, so it should not be an issue learning them. And JavaScript project ideas, you can do a to-do list, you could do a weather app, you could do image carousel or image carousel, you could do quiz app. There are many things you could do. Now let's talk about Git. This is the one that I might have to explain. Git is a version control system that tracks changes in code, allowing multiple developers to collaborate efficiently. It helps manage and maintain different versions of code, facilitates branching and merging, and stores the project's history. So this is a tool that developers use to keep track of their code, especially when in a company and you have a team of developers, right? So it's just like different developers contributing to a project. So this is a tool that is being used because there is a mechanism that they use where they will it's like downloading the code right to your code editor, making changes, editing, adding to it, and then uploading it back to Git, right, to this tool. And then another person too will download the updated code and then make his own changes, his own contributions, and upload it back. So this is the tool that is used. It does a lot more, but that's the basic function. So you have to know the workings of Git, setup and configurations, staging, inspect and compare, branching, remote repositories, temporary commits, and other things. And GitHub is the hosting platform for Git. So when you start learning about it, you understand better. And then TypeScript. I'm not going to say this is very compulsory, but it's good to know. This should take you about 2 to 3 weeks because it's like JavaScript. Very, as you can see, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that adds static typing and other features. So you can see that it's like JavaScript. So once you know JavaScript, this should take you 2 to 3 weeks or even less to learn. Essential concepts: you need to know the basic types, type assertions, interfaces, classes, functions, generics, modules, utility types, and other stuff. Then we have React. Now this is something that you can ignore TypeScript, but you cannot ignore React. React is very important. This should take you 6 to 8 weeks. So far you have a good understanding of JavaScript, you are good to go with React. You should learn basics like component props, states, JSX. You should learn rendering, hooks, styling, forms, data fetching, state management, routing, and many others. There are many other things you could do in React, but these are just the basics. These are the basic things you should know on React, but there are many other things you can learn. And then these are ideas. You do a simple to-do list, weather app also, but with more functionality and advanced options than the one you did in JavaScript. You can do a recipe finder, e-commerce storefront, expense tracker. And note, when you are doing projects like this, especially as a beginner, don't try and build the whole project, just the home page or just a particular feature, so that you don't get overwhelmed by the amount of things or the amount of tools you need to build those projects. Then you should learn SAS, synthetically awesome style sheets. Right, this is CSS preprocessor that extends CSS with features like variables, nested rules, and mixins. So this is like a tool, or like I don't say CSS framework, but a tool in CSS that extends the functionalities of CSS. So the things that cascading style sheets cannot do, SAS will help CSS to do. So it's like an assistant to CSS. So you need to know this to be an efficient front-end developer. Although it's not very compulsory, but it's very good to know. You need to know variables, loops, nesting, mixins, inheritance, functions, feature checks, and other features. There's always more to learn, but these are the basics. Now, Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is a lifesaver for many front-end developers. Tailwind CSS is a utility-first CSS framework that provides set of predefined classes for rapid UI development. What this means is that it makes front-end development faster and easier and stressless. As you can see, set of predefined classes for rapid UI development. UI means user interface, so it makes creating the front-end part of a website, it makes creating the colors, styling the colors, the paddings, the buttons easier with predefined classes. So it just makes CSS easier to do. So you should learn utility first CSS, right? You should learn configuration. Tailwind CSS is literally CSS. If you know CSS, you know Tailwind CSS. It shouldn't take you, in fact 1 week is enough to learn it. You understand? As you can see, it's very short. Just know utility first CSS principles, benefits, configuration, applying styles, responsive design, and plugins. Right, so it's very easy to learn. Then next, automated testing. You need to know how to test. You need to know Jest and VTest. Right, they are testing frameworks for JavaScript application. They enable developers to write tests for their code. They help to ensure code readability and correctness by automating the testing process, identifying bugs, and verifying functionality. So these are very important for you to know. So these are the concepts that you need to know: basics, matchers, mocks, testing, asynchronous code coverage, testing React components with React testing library. So these are very important tools you need to know. And then the next one is next.js, right? So this is like a meta framework built on top of React. It enhances capabilities with features like server-side rendering and static site generation, and simplifies building and optimizing modern web applications with improved performance and SEO. It should take you 4 to 6 weeks to learn. So far you have a good understanding of React. Those are the basic things that you need to learn. And this Next.js doesn't only help you to become a better front-end developer, but it also has back-end development capabilities, meaning after learning the front-end side, you can also use the same tool to learn back-end instead of looking for another language like PHP to learn back-end. But you will know more about this as you progress in your learning. So this is React Native. This is for app development. As you can see, React Native is a framework for building cross-platform mobile applications using React. It allows developers to write code once and deploy it both to iOS and Android platforms, leveraging native components for a seamless user experience. This should take you 6 to 8 weeks to learn. And then these are the essential concepts. So if you want to go from front-end development to app development, you can learn React Native, and it shouldn't take you too much to learn. So far you know React. So I think that's it. So these are projects that you could work on. Alright, so I want to scroll to the top and I want to make a mention here. If you know HTML and you know CSS and you know JavaScript and you know Git and you know, let me put TypeScript, and you know TypeScript and you know React, this upward is enough to start working on real life projects and full websites. This just makes it easier and more efficient for you to do the work of a front-end developer. This is for app development, but from this to this place just makes you more efficient as a front-end developer, so you should definitely learn them. So I hope the front-end developer roadmap helped you to see gaps in your knowledge if you have already started learning, and for those that want to learn, I hope it showed you what it takes to be a front-end developer, so you can know how to plan your learning and schedule your time.